Australia, 1932. The Great Depression is in full swing, and the land is dry, dusty, and disappointingly full of giant, flightless birds. In Western Australia's wheat belt, brave farmers, many of them returned World War I soldiers, are trying to coax crops from soil that barely tolerates weeds, let alone wheat. They've been promised government support. They've been promised subsidies. What they got, instead, was emus. Yes, emus. Some 20,000 of them. Now, you might think of emus as comically large birds, the kind you might spot at a petting zoo. Funny, awkward, perhaps even majestic in a weird, prehistoric way. But to the farmers of Campion and its surrounding districts, they were nothing short of a feathery plague. These birds stormed through fences, gobbled crops, and opened the floodgates for even more destruction, courtesy of rabbits. It was an agricultural apocalypse in feathers. Desperate, the farmers turned to the government with a plan that only 1932 Australia could dream up. Deploy the army. Enter Sir George Pearce, Minister of Defense and apparently open to unorthodox pest control solutions. With a stiff upper lip and a glint of opportunity in his eye, think, good press and target practice, he agreed to send in soldiers. Under one condition, the military would operate the guns, but the farmers had to feed them, house them, and pay for the bullets. And, naturally, someone thought it wise to bring along a Fox Movietone cameraman, because if you're going to fight birds with machine guns, someone ought to film it. Leading the avian assault was Major G. P.W.A. Meredith, yes, he had that many initials, equipped with 2 soldiers, 2 Lewis machine guns, and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. The stage was set. The battle would be fierce. The birds would be numerous. What could possibly go wrong? Spoiler: everything. On November 2nd, the troops found their first targets, about 50 emus, grazing near Campion. The soldiers prepared their guns. The farmers tried to herd the emus into range. The emus scattered like oversized, panicked toddlers on roller skates. The first shots missed. A few birds fell. Most disappeared into the bush like ghosts with feathers. 2 days later, 1,000 emus approached a dam where Meredith had set up an ambush. Finally, the chance for glorious victory. The men waited. The birds moved closer, fingers on triggers, hearts pounding, and then, jam. The machine gun jammed. Again. Only 12 emus were hit before the rest vanished into the wild, never to be seen again. It was, to put it mildly, not going well. Meredith relocated the operation. Perhaps he hoped the emus further south would be more cooperative. They were not. In fact, by day 4, military observers noted the birds had developed a strategy. They seemed to have leaders, tall, black-feathered scouts that stood watch and alerted their comrades when the humans approached. Guerrilla warfare, emu style. Meredith, undeterred, tried a new tactic, mounting a machine gun on a truck. Brilliant. Except the terrain was rough, the truck was slow, and aiming while bouncing over potholes was, shockingly, ineffective. By November 8th, 2,500 rounds had been fired. The official kill count, uncertain. Maybe 50, maybe 500. Whatever the case, it was clear the emus were winning. Major Meredith summarized the situation with unintentional comedy. If we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world. He likened them to Zulus, unstoppable, impenetrable, and utterly unimpressed by machine guns. The operation was called off. But the birds returned. More heat, more drought, more emus. The farmers, now fully convinced that the emus had declared war on them, begged for a second round of military action. This time, even the Premier of Western Australia backed them up. The government relented, and on November 13th, Meredith returned to the front lines. This time, things started better. 40 birds were killed in the first 2 days, a respectable tally. Then things got quiet again. But by December 2nd, the troops had found their rhythm, about 100 EMUs a week. The second campaign officially ended on December 10th. Final tally: 986 confirmed kills, 9,860 rounds fired, exactly 10 bullets per bird. Meredith also claimed another 2,500 birds were wounded and later died. Historians are skeptical. Still, some newspapers cheered. One declared the operation a success that saved the wheat. Others weren't so kind. In Britain, conservationists protested the extermination of a rare species. Australian ornithologists called the whole thing a mess. Future requests for military assistance in 1934, 1943, and 1948 were denied. Instead, the government reinstated a bounty system. In just 6 months of 1934, over 57,000 emus were collected. More effective and significantly less embarrassing. Over time, farmers turned to fences. Long, strong, emu-proof fences. That, combined with less press coverage, brought the Great Emu conflict to a close. But legends never die. In 2019, the story was adapted into a musical, The Great Emu War of 1932. In 2023, an action comedy film titled The Emu War premiered. And another movie, written by John Cleese and other comedic icons, is reportedly in the works. And so, the Emu War lives on. Not as a victory of man over nature, but as a feathered fable of military misadventure. A tale of machine guns versus beaks, soldiers outflanked by birds, and the undeniable truth that sometimes nature just won't cooperate with your plans. In the end, the emus didn't just survive. They won, with style, with speed, and with absolute disregard for Australian military firepower.